How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Fourever Arsenal podcast. I'm back with a few familiar faces. I got Jordan to the left of me. I got Lee and James below. Hope everyone is all good and well. Positive result again this weekend. Obviously, we're here to review the Arsenal-Leicester 4-2 game at the Emirates. This will be coming out Sunday. So as you're watching this, it is Sunday, but this is being recorded Saturday night. So we're fresh off the result. James and Lee went to the game. Jordan, you probably...
I was there as well. I was there.
You was there as well? Oh, nice. All right, cool.
Oh, thanks for coming and say hello.
Lee, I don't mix with riff-raff. I don't.
Do you hear that, James?
I get chauffeured in, taken to my box, taken out, and then I don't do the tube. I don't. Sorry. I just.
To be honest, Lee, the amount you insult me, I don't mind if someone comes for you. Even if I'm caught in the crossfire, even if I got to go down with you, just to see you in the mud, I'll take it.
There you go, a long-running rivalry. Who goes first then? You all smiles.
I'll let the old tough go first.
I'll mix it up. Turkish, you go
up a level.
Let Turkish go. Shut up, Lee.
I think Turkish should go first.
Yeah, go on.
Turkish is always
go on, Turkish.
Always asking us what we think, and we never let Turkish just really have his say. So, what do you think, Turkish?
Listen, I don't think it's good enough, and I think
that was great. What about you, Jordan? What do you make of it?
2 goals conceded, not good enough.
Gotta set the tone right, don't we? But listen, obviously, you can see I'm happy, I'm smiling, and that's what it's all about. It's all about the 3 points. Performance for me was an improvement on Palace all round, in my opinion. But at the same time, I don't know how we conceded 2 goals. It wasn't that sort of game where I've ever felt we was under real pressure to concede. Saliba was very unlucky. Ramsdale for the second one. That's the negatives out the way. Aside from that, Jesus, what a debut at home. 2 goals, 2 assists. His first one was class. In that position, he only had a bit of time. He only had a bit of space. And his decision was bang on. To be honest, it's one of the best goals we've seen in a few years at the Emirates. One of a few, if that. Aside from that, I think Granit Xhaka deserves a mention too. Listen, we're going to get into all these players, but Granit Xhaka definitely deserves a mention. First 5 minutes, gave the ball away, and Ramsdale had to make an early save, and big up Ramsdale for that, because going 1-0 down in the first 5-10 minutes, it would have been a hammer blow. Interesting to see how we would fight back from such a position, but we'll leave that for another day. It didn't cost us. And aside from that, Xhaka, in terms of getting in the box and making runs to take defenders away from other players, listen, he had a very good game. Probably one of his best I've seen in an Arsenal shirt. And I know many people talk about, he's been consistently good and whatnot. Today, for me, was, it was good. It was solid. Aside from that first 5 minutes, he did what he had to do. Do I want a bit more mobility there? Yes, but we'll get into that as well later on in the show. Like I said, Saliba was unlucky. Ramsdale we're going to talk about as well, because second week running, few question marks, few big saves. But overall, James, since you've asked me first, I'm happy.
Yeah. I mean, is this a fair statement that Arsenal controlled a Premier League match for 90 minutes today? Is that fair? Or at least 70 plus, 75 plus.
70 plus, yeah, I'd say.
Because even when Leicester had the ball, they kind of probed, but actually didn't do anything. As Turkish said, the 2 goals were just sort of like, oh, okay, that happened. And Arsenal, what I liked was the response from the goals. And I know everyone's going to want to say a bit about that, which is great as well. But just generally, this is going to sound over the top, I know. So just take it as I'm saying.
Say it, my son. Say it.
I imagine that's what, for a 90 minutes, being like a City fan feels like, where for 90 minutes, you watched your team played well for 90 minutes and you went home with the 3 points and a couple goals. And I've seen Arsenal actually win games sort of 3-4-0 over the last couple of years, but still have periods where they weather the storm, whatever. This pretty comprehensive, really, the whole 90. Okay, maybe the first 5 were a bit iffy. I thought Arsenal were just in cruise control for most of it.
Yeah, that's what I meant in comparison to the Palace game, where I said overall, I think that the performance level did go up. I think that the moments in the Palace game, in terms of the fluidity and attack, were probably better moments than we had against Palace. But overall, you are right. We controlled the majority. I'd say close to 80 minutes more than 70 plus. But yeah, that covers 80 minutes as well. Jordan, you was at the game.
Yeah, I agree with James. I think it is fair to say that for the vast majority of the match we controlled, which is one of my big desires this year. I want to see us control games. My one criticism of the Palace game, and I got roundly battered for it in the comments I saw after that first video, was when I said that I thought that Palace could argue that they deserved the point. I don't think we controlled the majority of that game. I thought we started amazingly well. First 25 minutes in that game, brilliant, and we saw it out well. But I think, like I say, Palace can lay claim to saying that we created enough chances to have earned a point. But anyway, whereas this game, as James says, the 2 goals that came from Leicester kind of came from nowhere. One was given to them by us, I think, and the other one just kind of came from nowhere. I don't think it came from a sustained period of, Leicester are dominating now for a 15-minute period here. It kind of came from nowhere. We can iron that out. No problem at all. I don't like 4-2 games because they generally, on the face of it, look like they're games that you don't control. But I think, as we're saying here, when you watch the actual game, you see that for at least 70 minutes, Arsenal were the better team. You've mentioned the guy who I won't mention his name ever again, but I think he was the man of the match. I know people will talk about Gabriel Jesus. I know people will talk about Zinchenko played well. I thought he in midfield was brilliant today. And I still stick to my belief that unless we buy a central midfielder, I don't think we get top 4. But if he, who I will not name, continues to consistently play those sorts of games, as I mentioned on the last pod, he's the sort of midfielder we need. I just need it, minus the dumb moments that happen every 10 games they seem to. But overall, it was really good seeing the team up front like that. I've not been to the Emirates for a little while. I tend to work on the days when we play. But my last point would be just watching. I thought Saliba didn't have much to do. I thought the own goal was unlucky. And I know a lot of people are saying he should have left it. In those scenarios, I always prefer my defenders to deal with it. And if it goes in an own goal, if it kind of goes for a corner, I'd rather that than no one deals with it. Striker nips in and scores. Someone deal with it. And if it happens to go in, then that's just a consequence, a by-consequence of what happened. So I'm not going to be too harsh on Saliba with that. But he didn't have a lot to do. But I thought overall, his home debut, I thought he looked quite comfortable, caveating with the fact that he didn't have a lot to do. But Jamie Vardy, sorry, just finally, if you're Saliba on your home debut, that's a slippery centre forward to be dealing with on your home debut. That could have gone really badly wrong. And I never really thought Jamie Vardy had much joy. So really good debut, I thought, from Saliba, barring the own goal, and a nice 4-2 win for the Arsenal.
And I hear that the fans really picked him up after the mistake. Obviously, you 3 was at the game.
Yeah. He did. Yeah.
Yeah, because Arteta even mentioned it in his press conference.
I mean, I've got to say a massive, massive big up to the Arsenal fans in that moment because as a home support, you can get behind the team, you can make noise, you can make intimidating for the opposition, all that. But I actually think those are the moments that really kind of come through to the players. I think a lot of it, they're very good at focusing on the game and zoning out and all that. I mean, obviously, I've never been in those situations, but when it happened, I'm talking 5-10 seconds, after the goal was in, the fans were up, come on, Arsenal, cheering. You wouldn't have thought Arsenal had conceded. And then everything Saliba did after that, there was just an extra energy. There was an extra cheer. There was an extra, it was their way of saying, we got you, which was really, really nice. And I can't remember the last time I felt an Arsenal crowd played such a part, let's say, with an individual player or a specific moment like that. So it was great. From my perspective, I thought it was superb.
Yeah, Lee, go on, give us your thoughts.
First and foremost, I'm going to say this. I thought it was a fantastic game of football from both sides. I thought it was a really entertaining game in fierce weather conditions as far as the heat was concerned. I thought both teams put on a fantastic performance and should be applauded for that. I thought Leicester caused us a few problems. I'm going to be honest. I think the negative is what you've both all said, 80% of the play or 8% we was dominating that game. Far too many goals, chances conceded in a total, this dominance of that play. So 20% we're not in charge. We've conceded 4 or 5 opportunities for them to score. They probably should have scored in the first couple of minutes. Good save from Ramsdale. Penalty decision could have gone against us. The referee just could not wait to give that. Could not wait to give it, But I think that's something we can work on. I felt that we didn't defend as well as what I would have hoped today. I'm going to be really honest. I thought first 15 minutes, I thought Leicester were a far better side than us. I thought they were really, really good, and we didn't really get into the game. And I was a little bit disappointed with our start. But in saying that, we've probably been there there a few times, but what happened in this game, which was totally different, when we had the chance, we took it, and then the game changed, and that was the thing for me. It was a great goal, great move, and then the energy and the way we picked up the play from then on was scintillating. Some of the football, by the way, was a pleasure to watch. It was a joy to watch. Opening up, I think, a very, very good Leicester side. I think James was quite right to say in previous videos that he's done, not to underestimate Leicester. They had some very, very good players out there, and we ripped them apart at times, and Jesus, if he would have got that one from Ramsdale's goal kick when he headed it up in the air, and then if he'd have got that for his hat-trick, the place would have been going mad, So I was very, very excited by our attacking play, very, very excited with what I'm seeing in midfield, but the back is just worrying me slightly, if I'll be honest. And I look at it and I think, well, where do we really improve on that? I think that Zinchenko's have been a fantastic signing. Saliba's come in and done. I'm going to say about Saliba now. I know that he made the mistake for the goal, guys, but he's an upgrade on all of our central defenders. I think that, Gabriel looks like he's got a mistake in him every now and then. Saliba just cruises through games, that interception that he done in the first half and puts us on the front foot again. I like the way we can push up to the halfway line now, not worry about people outpacing us. I've been used to players like Mustafi and Per Mertesacker playing at the back over the years. Now I've got these fast machines, and I'm quite enjoying that fact that we can defend high up and look comfortable. I have to say, I thought it was a really good performance, and compliments to Leicester as well. I think that the goal that they got, Maddison, I know it went through Ramsdale, opened it up well and a good finish, I've got to say, So all in all, and then when you get out into the open air of the stadium, you realise how hot that was in that game, and the energies of both teams. And I think, for me, it's got a big plus to my boy Martinelli to go through 90 minutes of that sort of pace in that heat. I know that he's used to it because he's Brazilian, but I thought that our front three, I actually think front two, because I thought Xhaka was very quiet today, if I'm being honest, by his standard. Saka.
No, Saka.
By his standards.
Yeah, I thought Saka was fanatic.
See, that's interesting you say that, Lee, because I think I was thinking about that as well. Was Saka below his usual standards, or is his standard now becoming, it's just a high standard, so normal that when other players who have great games, we think he's not contributed? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying?
I totally get what you're saying.
He was 7 out of 10 for me.
And I think
we were 8 out of 10.
I think probably it was a 7 out of 10 again today. But I think that because Martinelli and Jesus, their levels have gone up, he's got to go with that now, and so that will make his game better. Listen, I
disagree. Sorry, Lee, I'll tell you why I disagree. Because I'd rather Saka give me 5 7s out of 10s,
I've got what you're saying,
than he give me 2 8s and a couple of 4s. Down. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, no, listen.
That level every game, I'm happy with that.
And he does play at that level every game. That's what I think. I think he does. And I think his level will go up. I just think that it was. Listen, it was. What I'm trying to say is a compliment that he weren't at his best today.
Yeah,
and we've still got 4 goals, and if he can get to his very best, you imagine all 3 of them playing like that would be incredible. But listen, you're never ever going to get everybody playing really, really well. I also want to just say just a little big up for Martin Odegaard. Took a lot of criticism last week. I thought that he played really well today again. I thought he kept things going in there, ticking away. I've just been watching it on it's the game of the day. Can you believe it? Arsenal are the game of the day. When was the last time that was? And some of his play and touches and getting into positions and all that. I think there's what I see of Arsenal today, and I'm really interested in watching it now. There's a game plan to open up space. You know, Xhaka going into places that he's probably never been before. Ulagar goes into places, opening up different spaces for different players, and it's looking really, really good.
Yeah, James, was you going to say something?
Well, I was. Okay, yeah, because I want to introduce a point you made earlier that I think it's only right you make it. But my thoughts on Saka really is not worth dwelling on it. Maybe it's not even worth me saying it because great day out and a great win. I actually didn't think he was. I don't think it was a case of he was quiet but did fine. I actually don't think he was very good today. I was a little underwhelmed with kind of just what he did when he had the ball, if I'm honest. But the work rate's always there. Yeah. And he's one of those players that you always felt he could still be dangerous. So I actually think I learned something else from Saka today, if that makes sense. I kind of, even though he wasn't doing anything when he got the ball in the 70th minute, I still
But that's the point, James. Sorry to cut. That's right. The point. I think opposition players also think he's not one of the 3 or 4 best players here today, but he can do something. Yeah. And I think that fear, that threat, I think I'm kind of hypothesizing here. I don't know this for sure. But I think that if you're a fullback and you're thinking, he's not having a brilliant game, but I don't want to be off my guard too much because I know that he'll beat me and he'll set up a goal. Just having that aura and that threat, it's like Kevin De Bruyne. He can have a quiet game, but you just know that if you don't press him properly, he'll whip it and they'll score.
Yeah.
So I think having that aura actually kind of makes up for the fact that he didn't do anything on the ball devastatingly well.
A couple of Saka's crosses, to be fair, to the back post were very dangerous, and he's mastered that ability to cut in and whip it to the back post and all that. I think I just mean in terms of where Martinelli felt very central to the action. Like he was off the left, but he came inside and he was making darting runs. I felt Saka felt very far away from the action. I don't mean because it was on the left and he was playing on the right. I mean, actually, when it came to him, it always felt like him and Odegaard had to work a little bit harder to fashion something. It's not what we're used to. We're used to them two being the more productive two. And actually, this time it was Xhaka, Martinelli, Zinchenko. I thought the 3 of them and the left-hand side was brilliant today.
But this is what we wanted. The problem with last year was that Saka was the only one more times than not doing anything. Whereas now, if he can score 4 goals and Saka's not really involved, that's a good team. That's a good problem to have. Do you know what I mean?
Turkish, what was it you said in the studio? Again, I don't want to take the credit.
I think you mean when I said it's not often you're going to get all front 3 players making the headlines. More often than not, it's 1, max 2.
Yeah.
Today it was Jesus and Martinelli for me. And last season, usually it was Saka or maybe Saka alone or Saka and somebody else. But because Jesus come in there, he's more the main man. He takes attention away from Saka in terms of defenders, but he also takes attention away in terms of headlines as well. And I lean on what Jordan said. If Saka goes under the radar, produces the same output he did last season, on top of having a Jesus, who is now the main man, then we're headed in the right direction.
I was just going to say, John, what I think with Saka is like, and it happened particularly last season. I noticed it again today. As soon as he gets the ball, there's 2 or 3 over him, and teams would think, do you know what? We can afford to do that with Saka because we haven't got anything on the right. You know, we haven't got nothing down the middle. What that's doing now is that they're going 2 or 3 over, and that's creating a lot of space for Jesus and particularly Martinelli, and he is benefiting from the fact that Jesus is in there as well. So you cannot physically cover all 3. So the threat of Saka's game, that's fine, but there's so much open gap on the left-hand side of the moment. Now a team's going to think, well, we've got to try and plug that. Hopefully they'll try and plug that. That will let in Saka, like, you know what I mean? They cannot afford to be putting 3 players on Saka now, which they was doing last season. And because what happens is we quickly shift it over and the left side's free, and it's.
And we used to see that at City a lot with where Mahrez has patches, and then it'll be Sterling that has patches.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's what we want.
That's what we want. Exactly.
That's what we want. Yeah. Can I just pick up on Lee mentioned earlier on about sorry, James. Lee mentioned earlier on about the fact that the football we're seeing is really enjoyable to watch from an attacking point of view. I think that's largely down to Gabriel Jesus. And what I mean by that is I remember seeing Pippa did a video recently where she mentioned she thought that she knew that Jesus was good, but seeing him up front and live, she didn't know he was that good. Yeah. And today I totally got what she meant now, because seeing him live, he's a problem. And I hope he doesn't gas out come Christmas or the World Cup, and then Brazil losing the semi-final, he comes back demoralised and he's crap for the second half of the season. If he can maintain this level of movement, his positioning is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The way he's economical with his movements and his passes. He didn't just run and press for pressing's sake. He's really, really intelligent. I watched him for a while, and I think that is the reason why we've got now more options away from him. I've always said the two best players in world football who I think are the best at creating space without having the ball are Xhaka and David Silva. They're the two best people that create space without the ball. Gabriel Jesus did a lot of that today without even being near the ball. Just where he picks up space, it allows other players to be dangerous, if that makes sense, and it creates other flows for the attack to work well. I was really impressed with the goals and the goal involvement. Brilliant. We need that. That's everything that Lacazette wasn't doing last season. Yeah. But what I was equally impressed with was how intelligent his moves were, and his selfless runs. He wasn't just making runs thinking, can I get on the end of this? He's thinking, if I make this run, that enables Saka to get on the ball. If I come in deep, that enables Martinelli to. Do you know what I mean? And that for me are the kind of intelligent players that we've not had since Van Persie. I've not seen even Aubameyang wasn't that kind of striker. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, what that facilitates for me, and I appreciate I'm talking to people who will remember the Invincibles and all that.
All right, mate. All right.
No, I mean in an absolutely complimentary way. Your standards will be in a different realm. I have so many good memories of Alexander Hleb, Thomas Rosicky, Fabregas, the interchange. They've been around the penalty area. Sami Nasri was a wizard at it. He'd been around the penalty, him and Cazorla, and then, well, they didn't play together, but they're similar. And then, bam, bam, and they're in behind. You think there's no space. Oh, my God, we're in behind. How have they done that? And there's a lot of that today, again, particularly between Martinelli, Zinchenko, Xhaka, Jesus, where you kind of thought, okay, they've got it. They're probing. What are they going to do? Touch, bam, pass, they're in. And Jesus should have got his hat trick. And I really like that because you can't really defend it. I don't know how to explain. Like, if you're just quicker, you're sharper, you're more intelligent, you're more creative, you could just cause so many problems. And I thought across the 90, Arsenal looked capable of just bopping the ball about like that. And it really has been a long time. And a lot of people say, well, yeah, since Wenger, even the last years of Wenger, we didn't have that. We moved away from those kind of players. We really are talking Cazorla, Ozil was the last we had of it. And even they didn't do it quite. They were kind of slightly different. So I just took so much pleasure watching that today.
So my final point on Jesus as well is I think he deserves a big upturn. I thought he who I won't name was the best player on the pitch, but Jesus was really good. The goal he scored, the first goal, that's what I call a South American goal. That is a Sanchez goal. That is a Suarez type goal. Yeah. The inventiveness of that goal, Lacazette's not doing that. I don't think even Aubameyang's doing that. They're not doing that. But someone like him, it's something about those South Americans that just think, I can think this in. I can get this in. I'm going to do it. That maybe just think, oh my God, we've not just got And the second goal was a real Ian Wright type goal. Just a penalty box, poachers, right place, right time. There you go. There's your money. See you later. Game pretty much done, or we're in control at least.
I mentioned that as well because the difference in the way he scored both goals, and
loved it, Turkish.
If you add what Lee said earlier regarding when Ramsdale hit it long, if he had scored that hat trick would have been something because the differential between each goal, the potential third one where he got tackled at the end of it and it was a save, I think. That was him being physical, holding it up after bringing it down with a header first and spinning the defender. Very different to the first and second goal. So he's showing, listen, I don't know who said it earlier, but he's showing us something that we haven't seen.
He could have scored 5 goals today. 5 goals. You know what I mean? Like some of them he created himself. And listen, I'm going to just go back to what Jordan said. When we first signed him, I wasn't that excited about it. I'm going to have to say I wasn't excited about it. I thought, yeah, he's a good player and all that. Then I watched him live for the first time and I thought, wow. And I said it today in the starting 11 thing, like, enjoy it today. You're going to enjoy this. You're going to enjoy Jesus. I said he's going to score 2 goals. I've seen what he can do. His movement, everything about him is just too much for certain teams. And that's what we wanted. And we've got it. And it's an absolute pleasure. I'm going to say this now. You know what I mean? It's an absolute pleasure to pay my money and watch him play football. I think he's an absolute, delight to watch. Him and Martinelli today were poetry in motion. One with pace and stretching the player, the other one with all the little turns and everything like that. I'm telling you that now. Those defenders today were got on the coach at Leicester and they're going, phew, I'm glad we ain't got that next week or the week after. And that is what we've been crying out for very long.
They've got City next week, so they've
got next week. If they have, they go, well, the week
I wish that was true.
I'll tell you, I've got to check who they've got now.
They've got Salah and Nunes next week, mate.
Let's see who they got next week. But I'll tell you,
that would have been amazing.
But that is how good they were today, and that was a pleasure to watch. The way that they go about their job and everything like that was a pleasure to watch. So I'm going to see who they got next week.
We've talked about Jesus quite a bit, but
they're home to Southampton, so I think they'll be all right.
They'll be all right.
They'll be all right.
Martinelli, you mentioned him, but listen, especially in that first half, he was up against Fofana quite a bit on that left-hand side. And Fofana is one of the best young defenders about, wanted by Chelsea, currently being quoted 80, 90 million. And Martinelli got him on an early yellow card, put him under pressure as much as possible, beating him, causing real problems. On Martinelli, more of that. And what's that? 2 games, 2 goals for him now.
He needs to have a season this year, Turkish, that Saka had last year.
Yeah.
He needs to be the guy that, after Gabriel Jesus, if you like, is the main attacking threat. I know Saka's is a bad boy and progressing nicely, but I like Martinelli. I need goals now. And he's got 2 and 2, so good start. I need to see from him this year what I saw from Saka last year. Do you know what I mean?
I agree.
And I've been way too positive on this pod so far, so I've just got to make one comment. Ramsdale, I'm watching him. I'm watching him because the goal aside, I thought he should have saved it. At least it was a great strike. I thought he should save that. I'm watching him. That's what I'll say for now.
I actually would like to make a public apology to Aaron Ramsdale because I spent the full time show. He came up and I said, did I use the word shocker? I said he had a poor game. I thought actually I came away from it going, he was one of the worst players on the pitch for Arsenal that day today. And I'd take it back. I've watched the highlights, especially those key moments. And I think I've been harsh. Because I forgot about that moment very early on when he saved us. I think it was Fofana coming through. Big moment, keeps us at 0-0. We're getting settled. So brilliant. I criticised him for coming out and being quite rash with the Vardy thing, even though he didn't catch him.
No
need. Again, in hindsight, he actually doesn't get anywhere near him. Like it was a real dive. It wasn't like a little bit of contact. It was a real dive. So I can't really get mad at him for that because problem averted. The Saliba own goal again. I thought, what's he doing coming out of his goal like that? But actually, he can't do nothing. Because if it does get through, he's kind of got to be there to stop Vardy. And when you look at when it goes in, there is the tiniest gap for Saliba to head it past Ramsdale and inside the post. And it was just a freak moment, and it made it. I actually think, 1 degree to the right or left, and it's not going in. And then the only one is the Maddison goal. That is the only one I think will be really disappointed. He's probably anticipating it going across goal, so he spread his right leg out to maybe block it, but it's gone through. So that's the only moment. I'm not saying he had a good game, but couple that with his distribution, which I thought was actually very good today. I was probably harsh. I think I was harsh.
I think what it is with Ramsdale is, let's look at the first 2 games of the season, the Palace one and this one. He's made mistakes, but because his saves have come at key points in the match, those have been the taking points, like the talking points, let's say, for us, taken away from the game. For example, 1-0 up against Palace, he makes that save, the header. Same second half, 1-0 up and he makes a save from Eze. Yeah. But if you remember, there was moments just before they had that first chance where he kind of conceded possession to them a couple of times, put the wind behind their sails a little bit. It didn't cost us at the end. Similar today, he made a great save early on and we needed that because going 1-0 down, we don't know what would have happened. It would have been a very different game. But then listen, the rushing out thing, I agree with you. It was a dive, but I also agree with Lee. He didn't need to do it. Getting beaten at your near post, unacceptable. I just can't have that. Ever since the Champions League final in Almunia, getting beaten at the near post is one of the worst things. It just reminds me of that Champions League final every time. The Saliba one was just unfortunate. Yeah, people are saying he shouldn't have been out, but like you said, if Saliba misses it, he needs to close down the gap with between the ball and Vardy. So I get it. But overall, he does need to. I feel like he gets bored sometimes.
Yeah, that's my worry. He wants to be involved, doesn't he?
So Szczesny vibes. That's what I'm watching about him. Last year, he became a little bit of a fan's favorite within the first 6 games because he's very demonstrative. He made some good
number one.
Yeah, and I was a little bit like, I don't want us to make him this hero before he's earned it. He's a very good goalkeeper, and he made some very important saves last year. And as you mentioned, this season already Turkish. But when my goalkeeper is one of the most involved members of my team in a game, I'm concerned. I shouldn't be hearing so much about just do your saves, distribute the ball, and that's it. I don't need you to be involved all the time. I don't need your name at the forefront of everybody's name. And that's why I'm watching him. His character. Does he rise to the fact that I like being involved? Or you know what? I'm just happy to be an Edison type character. I'll make my saves and be in the background.
Oh, but this is my thing. I think Edison is what we've seen of Ramsdale, and more. I actually think Edison is also very rash, also very.
I don't agree.
I think Edison actually, he's in the team because ultimately his distribution is fantastic. And of course, he's a very good goalkeeper, but he has his moments. And I think City just put up with it because they're so good and outscore teams. And more often than not,
does he have his moments?
I think he does.
Over the course of
let me know in the comments.
Over the course of the season, I can think of that one incident last year with the ball went over rolled across the line. He saved. I've forgotten the fixture. I can't think of many Edison moments where I'm like, "Oh."
I'll put it to the comments. I think he's quite an erratic goalkeeper, but Alisson went through a spell of it, and he's superb, and I consider him the calmer of the two. I think it just happens,
Fine lines, isn't it? A goalkeeping situation. Like, look at their goalkeeper today. I think he kept a minute in the first half with some super saves. You know what I mean? And then he makes a when they get back in it at 2-1, he makes a howler. Ramsdale could have been a villain in these last 2 games. He's made good saves and all that, but mistakes he could have been punished for them. He hasn't been punished for them. Got away with it. I think it's a little wake-up call for him. I really do. I just think that's all it is. Just a reminder. Keep your feet on the ground. Just keep doing what you was doing that made you a success. Mm-hmm. Don't try and go looking to get involved in the game. Let the game come to you. That's my advice would be to him. I love him as a character. I think he's got fantastic character. I think that I like all of that. But there are times like with that penalty decision today, no need to get involved in the game. No need, just let it ride out. There's no way Vardy's going to score from there. Just let it ride out. But, it is thin lines and he's getting away with it. He may be a little bit lucky, Aaron. You know what I mean? So, but I just think when he first come in, his concentration levels and everything about him was spot on because he knew that he had to do a job. And I think that if I got a little criticism of him, I think maybe he's just come a little bit too comfortable.
And that's the reason why I'm watching him, Lee. First year, he was on his toes because he had to impress. Oh, it's a bad signing. Oh, he's been relegated twice. He was out to impress. What I hope doesn't happen is that this season, he's a bit like, okay, I can drop a little bit now because I've won them over. No. You keep doing what you were doing last year because that's why we like.
That's why you become a fan's favourite.
Right. Should we talk about someone who's not always been a fan's favourite? And I know that
the one that Jordan refuses to mention.
Yeah,
I know we touched on him earlier. I thought he was class today. Really class. I really did. And I don't want to do this whole it feels different this time and whatever.
But you're gonna do it
a little bit. What I like, he's not playing the role he's played in over his last 5-6 years at Arsenal, and suddenly just having good games in it. Then I'd be worried. But okay, well, why didn't we see this before? And I'm getting a call.
Is that him?
Hang up. That was Granit. Yeah, he was just getting in touch.
Darren Ramsdale, he's not happy.
Saying a big thank you. Yeah. What he's doing now is he's playing much more of this box-to-box role, late runs, running in beyond. He has that header that crashes onto the post early on. He has that ball from Partey that he ran in behind to try and get to. And then again, he gets his goal getting into the box, and he was part of all the good stuff with Martinelli, Zinchenko, Jesus, and because I haven't got a memory bank of him playing badly in that role, I'm kind of more hopeful. Have we discovered what Xhaka's new thing could be, and therefore how he's best suited to this Arsenal team? But he was great.
I think.
Sorry,
you go.
No, it's just that you didn't want to talk about it now. You do, like, you know what I mean? So
I was going to give him a little bit of credit. Go on, you go first.
No, I was just saying, like, I thought today, like, that first 10 minutes he was poor, like most of them were in that first 10 minutes of Burn. But other than that, he was fantastic. Thomas Partey today, I thought passing was well off. Now, if Granit Xhaka does that, there will be all hell breaking loose. You know what I mean? This, and you know. So I do feel he gets a bit of a raw deal. So I'm very, very pleased that he's played well today, and hopefully he does get a bit of praise. What I liked about him today is I think that he is the leader in the team, even though he's not captain. Jesus misses that chance. He's telling him head up, head up. I like the way he bosses the midfield. Like, you know, if there's any bit of trouble in there, he's there. I like that side of him. There is a bit of skullduggery to him. And I quite, you know what I mean? I know he goes over the line on many a time, but I quite like that. Someone that's not going to take... We've had too many times in the past people taking liberties with us. I don't see people taking liberties with Granit Xhaka, so I like that. But he played really, really well today, and I'm very, very pleased that he did. He's got to keep doing that. But I will say this, as much as I love him at this moment in time, that little bit of lack of pace and mobility, just at times, if we had that, we would get more out of it. So the higher we play, against the top teams, you just need that little bit of pace. That one, for instance, Partey's best ball of the day, by the way. If he has that little bit of pace, he gets on the end of that and we're in and goal. But
you know what we need to do? We need to combine Xhaka's brain and intelligence for where to be and what he's trying to do with Tavares' athleticism.
Yeah,
and his skill set. Then you've got a proper player there.
A proper player then.
Well, that leads to my point. That would be a player, and that's why I'm going to keep saying it until the window closes. We need to
Tavares. There we go.
Tavares. It's not a perfume. But we need to. We need
to invent that. The Fourever for Shahid.
I've just said that the answer to our midfield problems is the love child of Tavares and Granit Xhaka.
It's Frankenstein.
I don't know if you noticed it on the telly today, but there was a half time, just as they were going to kick off. Have a look at it, like, you know what I mean. Jesus was talking to Tielemans, and I think he was saying, "You're going to love it here, mate. You're going to love it."
Well,
I don't know what's going on.
I want to say that I hope that this can put the Tielemans stuff to bed now, because he was awful. He was all, and I know that he's in a team that's not particularly, started the season very, very well. I'm just so bored of this Tielemans chat. At this point, before I was ambivalent, I was a bit like, if we get him, good player, cool. Now I'm like, I don't want him.
I didn't think he wanted to know today. Did you think that?
No, he couldn't be bothered. He couldn't be bothered. He's trying to stay fit for our season.
Listen, I looked at him today. I just think he just didn't. He just didn't do. He did neat and tidy stuff, but I watched him last week. He was very, very good last week. But today,
he's a 1 in 4 man, Lee. He's a 1 in 4 man.
Want to know? I don't know. Like.
He's a 1 in 4 man.
He's not. Really, he's a very, very, very good player. His heart's elsewhere.
Yeah, I think it was. I'm with you, James, on this. I just think that he showed today that he wants to be at the Arsenal. It did look like that today. Just did not want to. Didn't go into tackles, talking to a couple of players.
Hang on, the sort of player that just down tools it because he wants
shaking
to move.
Arteta's hand.
Is that who he was?
Yeah, I don't know if he was down tools. I don't know if it was down tools.
You're saying he did. You're saying he thought, sod this. I'm just going to just play at 60%, keep myself fit. You know what I mean? Not do too much. And these guys will come in for. I don't want that kind of player.
He came off to a standing ovation. He came off when he went towards the Leicester bench. Everyone, all the Arsenal fans around.
Did you see that? It was great, wasn't it? It was absolutely
brilliant.
great.
I was
We'll see you
embarrassed.
next week.
Chanting,
We'll see you next week.
Youri Tielemans.
We'll see you next week.
I was
I
embarrassed.
tell you, the
Arsenal
Arsenal
fans
fan
were
humour is
terrible.
fantastic at times. You know what I mean?
You know more about. There you go.
I'm not actually convinced we're signing him. I still think there's something weird. It could be a free transfer next year, whatever. But I'm with Lee. He just didn't look like he was particularly bothered today. But do I care? I didn't need today to be some audition for him to show me why we must have him. I needed him to be absolute shite, and he was. Thank you. 3 points in the bag. Now,
give me Tonali. Give me Tonali from Milan. Give me him. That's the guy we need to be going for and getting out of Italy. That's the sort of person I want to come to Arsenal. But just going back to your earlier point, James, about the new positioning of the guy that I won't name.
No.
Do we not have to give a little bit of credit to the person? Give a bit of credit to one person we've not named in this whole 40 minutes so far. And that's the manager, Mikel Arteta. Because if that is indeed the new, and I agree with you, James, the new role I do think does suit he who I will not name better. That's the manager's call. That's down to Arteta. And I think that under Arteta, he's generally been quite good. Yeah. So I think he picked the right team today. The subs I thought were generally the right subs. I thought we got to credit the manager as well. We're gonna pile in when we lose. Let's give him credit when we win.
I will give Mikel praise after 5 games and we've got 15 points. Because that will prove to me that he's a proper manager, and I mean that because they're games that we should go on and win, and he needs to show me that he's got the players now. We should win those games, and if he can get, we go to Old Trafford with 15 points. Mikel deserves all. At the moment, it's 2 games which I expect Arsenal to win, by the way, which we have done with the players we've got. But I now expect us to drive on to some difficult games. But these next 3 games are very, very difficult, but winnable. And he needs to do that before I start singing Mikel's praises. But I've got to say, at the moment, I'm loving what he's doing. I've got to say that. I'm loving what he's doing. I love the energy around the club, the energy around the players, and he has to take credit for it. But he's got to do it consistently.
Yeah, and we've got to start, delivering the points and delivering a challenge and so on in the league. All of the satellite stuff, it doesn't really matter unless it happens on the pitch. When it happens on the pitch, the satellite stuff is amazing. It's genius. But it needs to happen on the pitch. And you mentioned Arteta when talking about Xhaka, Jordan. And 100% Arteta deserves credit. Not only for Xhaka, like Lee said, for an abundance of things, but regarding Xhaka, his lack of awareness and mobility used to cost us a lot in his deep-lying playmaker days or defensive mid days or whatever people used to think he was. Now, yes, his awareness and his lack of mobility brings him down in the number 8 position, but it doesn't cost us. And because it doesn't cost us, we can see what else he brings. And what he brings is, listen, he takes the attention away from today against Leicester. I saw him making runs into the box, taking attention from defenders away from a Jesus or a Martinelli. So at the bare minimum, if you can do that, then okay, you're giving me more than you've given me over the last 5 years. But again, we still need an upgrade in that position.
Yeah, I agree.
But I think we're all in agreement.
On Arteta though, I will say, right, it's been 2.5, 3 years or whatever it's been of, is he the right man? Why have we hired a guy with no experience? Is he good enough? And then he's brilliant. He's the savior. It's been, I quite like the idea of winning a game and actually not really talking about him, because there's always so much, especially with the All or Nothing documentary now. There's so much on Arteta and the way he's being portrayed in that, and whether people are buying into it or not. Because Jordan's absolutely right. He deserves a lot of credit. I actually kind of think, if this makes sense, I'm not trying to sound too clever, the best credit is just not even needing to mention him, because it always feels like it's a way of, to give him credit, it's shitting on the argument of those who don't necessarily rate. Do you go on trying to say
we never used to give, like Lee, Jordan, you might not agree with me in this, but in Wenger's heyday, we wasn't giving him credit every single week because it was
what I mean.
I agree, But then I agree with that, James. But then we have to be balanced. If we lose today 4-2, who's the first person we're calling out?
Yeah.
Granit Xhaka. No, okay.
He is. I think.
So I'm saying,
I don't know about you, but he is winning me over. I've got to say that. I think he's winning me over. Like, I want him to be successful. What I'm seeing at the moment, I'm enjoying myself. So that comes to praise. But because we've had these bad results, and we've had these before, good couple of results, and then we go and have three bad. I'm just trying to keep on the track. I'm trying to be positive in a minute. I'm positive with what I'm seeing straight from pre-season to now. What I will give him a compliment on, and Edu and whoever takes a part of it. Arsenal Football Club, for the first time in a very, very long time, first home game, we were ready, up and running and ready for the game. I've not seen that at the Emirates for a very, very long while. Manchester United, who are a big club and that, like, I look at them not ready. You can see that they are not ready for the Premier League season. Like,
Chelsea
that's why they're struggling. Maybe Chelsea as well. Arsenal are ready. I give him credit for that.
And James, I think you're right in terms of. I think you're right in terms of if he's in the background. That's almost a good sign. But I personally think that the manager should be the first person mentioned, win or lose. So I think or held accountable. So when Arsenal win, I think he should be the first person that we mention. I think when Arsenal lose, he should be the first person we mention. But the Arsenal fan base are very, very. I just think a lot of them are biased in that if we'd have lost that game 4-2, you know who's going to get who's getting. It's not he.
No, you're right.
Do you know what I mean? So we've got to be very, very.
I get what you're saying.
I get what you're saying. Can we just very quickly a word on Zinchenko? Oh, what a player!
Yeah.
Oh, stop it, Jordan. This guy was having a field day at the carpet today. He just looked like
some of his
in
stuff,
total control. When Kyle Walker said that he was one of the top 3 most technically gifted players at Man City, and everyone's like, "What?" Like, I listen. I don't know what other City players would have looked like, but what I'm saying is, I can see where that comes from because his touch is cushion. You know, in tight areas, he swivels and then plays one inside.
I mean, that was nonsense. It was Kyle Walker just talking absolute crap. He's not more technically gifted than Edison or De Bruyne or Silva.
Edison?
He's one of the most technically gifted players in that squad, James. Edison's one of the best players in that squad with the ball at his feet. That's before you get to Mahrez. That's before you get to
Edison is more.
Foden.
You think Edison is more technically gifted than Zinchenko?
That's a wild one.
I'm saying Edison is.
He's had champagne.
I know it's amazing. Oh my word!
I'm saying Edison is one of the most. I think even Guardiola said it. One of the best passers and controls of the ball in their squad. So the point I'm making is that there's at least 5 players I would name as technically gifted in that squad before Zinchenko. Not saying that he's not gifted technically.
You're taking it too literally. The point is Walker felt the need to mention Zinchenko in that conversation. I think
he's gassing up his teammate. He's going to do that, isn't he? Come on.
He could have gassed up any of them. He had no reason to mention Zinchenko or single him out. Zinchenko.
That little flick he done today. Did you see that little flick, James?
Yeah.
Oh.
There was a dart he did in midfield in the first half where he drove. He was more on the right side and he drove forward and then just rolled it through, and I'm just thinking, wow, the way he looked after the ball.
I want to be clear, James. I'm not saying that he's not technically gifted. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the way you and Arsenal fans talk about him is if he could be the difference between us finishing 5th and 4th, and he's not. He's a good player for the squad. I heard someone say today he's a better fullback than Tierney. What are you talking about?
To be fair though, Jordan, if we had Zinchenko for the run-in last season, we probably would have got the extra.
Yeah, that's the difference. That's the difference.
I'm not sure I believe in that. I mean,
do you know what today? Do you know what made me realise that he was a good player? Nothing technical about it. It was in the first half. The ball was up in the air. He was up against it with a header. He won the header, then got up, got the ball, and then didn't just was rash with it. Just come inside, played it inside, and I thought he's a player.
As a left back. I forgot who it was. I think it might be.
He can play midfield as well. I'm convinced of it now.
But is he better than Xhaka? We just spoke about. Oh God, I named him. Is he better than him?
Yes! Come on.
That's it. And that was the end of the podcast. Thank you very much, everybody.
Yes. You're finished.
If Zinchenko.
It only takes a minute, girl.
Zinchenko, he who I won't name again, and Partey. If all three are at their best, which two do you play?
We haven't seen Zinchenko midfield enough, so I get what you're saying. Probably.
So
Xhaka,
the point I'm
Partey.
making is that for all the furore about Zinchenko, I don't think he makes our 11 better. I think he's a great backup for Tierney, and he can probably do a good job in midfield, but he doesn't elevate our 11.
I think, and I'll just say it as clear as day now. If he were given a run in central midfield in that Xhaka role, he could be the guy. I really think he's that.
I think there's no way he can be dropped to the minute, guys. No
Not
way he can be
back.
dropped. You know what I mean? Tierney is going to have to bide his time. I'll tell you what I will say with Tierney. Tierney will probably play in other games when we've got to defend a little bit more. But I'll tell you what, when we've got the ball like we did today, what an outlet he was today. Come on. Every time he got the ball, he controlled it. And
Lee, I think we're forgetting.
Very, very good.
The quote was, I remember now, someone saying, going forward, he's better than Tierney. We're forgetting that when Tierney was at his best going forward with Saka on that side,
I forgot about Tierney.
Was phenomenal.
Bloody long.
Well, that is the one thing he's got over Tierney. Fitness.
Yeah.
That's the one thing for me he's got over Tierney. For me, if they're
I'm a
both
big Tierney fan, massive Tierney fan.
But there's more. Sorry, I love Tierney, but there's more to it for me.
Like
Tierney.
What does he do better than Tierney?
Tierney's a very good push and run fullback. Defensively, brilliant. He can also slot in a back three, and he's very good at the drop and the shoulder drive. Got a great ball into the box. Tierney's like a. I was going to say Gary Neville style fullback, but I guess I was about to say old school. Yeah, I mean, can knock it, get to the bar line, put it into the box. What Zinchenko does, playing essentially central midfield. I'm going to lose this bet to Robbie, even though he's basically playing in midfield. He is playing so central and in such suffocated areas, and he keeps everything flowing and ticking and everything because his touch is a cushion and his vision and his pass is superb. That he does better than Tierney. I'm absolutely confident of it. He's much better in central positions than Tierney. Tierney doesn't have that natural, culture.
Very different, which is good as well.
Exactly. But Tierney's fantastic.
What's the great thing about it? Tierney's got to come in and got to play well, eh? He's got to come in and play well, Tierney. If he's got to up his game, so what does that mean? It's better for Arsenal. That's what you want.
But where I'm with Jordan's right. We need to not disrespect Tierney as well because he's
of course.
But my wider point is that I just don't think he elevates our 11. And the way the fan base are talking as if he's the midfield solution. And I'm like, he's not. He's a good squad player. He's a very good player to come in and do a job for a few games.
And you need players like that if you're going to be 100%.
Successful. But let's be clear on that. He's a squad. Yeah. He elevates the squad, not the 11.
He's better than a squad player. He's not just there to fill in when needed.
Champions League final. Everybody's fit. Does he start?
Yeah. But he's played 2 games at left back.
But you're the ones telling me that
he starts ahead of Xhaka for me. That's for sure.
Oh, Turkish!
I
think
down. I think potential is going to come.
I don't know if he does Turkish.
Listen, I think he's going to get a run.
I haven't seen 90 minutes of him in midfield. I haven't seen it. Hands up.
Yeah,
I have seen multiple 90 minutes of Granit Xhaka, and I'll tell you something. If it's a Champions League final and I had to pick out the 2 for the 8, I'm picking Zinchenko.
Can we say Europa League final is more realistic?
Well, yeah. But the last Europa League final, one of them names did start, mate, and then we saw how it ended. So let's not go back there. I
think that's more Turkish, really not rating hero at name rather than rating Zinchenko.
I think you're. Do you know what? I'm going to agree with you there, Jordan. I'm going to agree with you there. The disrespect from my mate Granit is terrible.
I like Granit and I really like Zinny.
Oh God, Zinny!
Everyone covering their backs. Cool. Let me take the heat. Fuck it, as usual. People, we're gonna wind it down here. We'll touch it. We're coming up to an hour, but before we do,
let's have a look at that league table.
Predictions.
Say Turkish taking the heat. Why are you acting like this is a Virgin flight to Orlando?
Please don't remind me about that as well. Europa League final and that Virgin Atlantic flight. I don't want to be reminded of either, please.
Fair enough.
We all got 1 point this week, innit?
Yes.
Yeah, we all got 1 point. James predicted 2-1. I predicted 3-1. Lee and Jordan predicted 3-0.
When we went 2-0 up, we went.
I thought we was on. I thought we was on.
I was like, come on!
I thought it was on Jordan. Like,
Went
and
through
you know
all.
what? Them two over there thought it was as well. I'll tell you that now.
I 2-0 first half.
I heard
More
cheers
goals.
from James's seat when what? No penalty? Not no penalty.
Absolute bollocks. Unlike Lee, the football club comes first, and I was devastated when Saliba nodded in that wonderful finish into the near post. No. How could you? And then when Xhaka rolled it in, I was like, yes.
We went 3-1. I just thought, oh no, Turkish has got a big smile on his face at this moment in time.
Yeah, you probably spoke to Aaron Ramsdale's dad or something and told him to concede at the near post, for fuck's sake.
Oh, sweating.
Yeah, it's hot. Listen, people, there's the league table. James and Lee lead the way on alphabetical order. Only
Well done,
4
James.
points apiece. One correct for each.
Cheers, Jordan.
And then it's Jordan and myself in last, 2 points apiece. People, hope you guys have enjoyed another Fourever Arsenal podcast. We'll be back this coming week, Thursday. Again, put your notification bell on and you'll know exactly when we're back. Love for the love as always. Hit the like button on your way out and tune in later on in the week.